Welcome back to another Mustang Monday. Obviously, admissions is bringing you this Instagram live tonight, and I can't wait because my fellow Welcome Center co-worker and friend Anna, who is an engineering ambassador at Cal Poly, is going to be joining us, and she's going to be talking about all of her experiences within engineering. Okay, just while we're waiting, I'll introduce myself. So, my name is Olivia Jones, pronouns she, her, hers, and I am a fourth year communication studies major here at Cal Poly. I am from the Bay Area, but I'm originally from England, hence the accent. I am a poly rep, so we are the official university ambassadors for Cal Poly, as well as the tour guides. And so I have a lot of knowledge about all things Cal Poly, and I can't wait for you all to hear about Cal Poly engineering today. So, still waiting for our campus partner to request us. Sometimes there's technical difficulties with all of the joining. Looks like they're struggling to join, so just give me 1 second. Perfect. And I'm thinking is joining us now. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm glad we finally got it to work. Sorry, there's
Yes.
usually a few roadblocks along the way.
No worries.
So I just introduced myself and what we're going to be kind of going over this evening. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So hello everyone, my name is Anna. I'm a third year biomedical engineering major from Seattle, Washington. And I am an engineering ambassador, as Olivia probably already said. We're the tour guide organization on campus. So we give campus tours to prospective students like all of you. I've been a part of ambassadors for almost a year now, and I absolutely love it. It's a really great way to kind of help people through the process that we've all been through when applying to college, which is super stressful, and I really enjoy it. And then for ambassadors, I'm our BMed department rep. So I'm responsible for all of the BMed specific information on our tours, and if there's any kind of specific BMed tour needs, I would give those tours. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So what made you want to join Engineering Ambassadors?
Yeah, so I actually took a tour when I was applying. So when I was a senior in high school, and I took an engineering specific tour and I hated it. I had the worst experience ever. There were just not enough tour guides and too many students. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And then I went on a general campus tour and I loved it. And I was like, okay, maybe Cal Poly is for me. And then when I ended up choosing to go to Cal Poly, I was like, I think I could do a good job and kind of fix the gap. Obviously, the organization changed a lot, and it was probably just a bad day, but it was kind of cool to get to be on the other side of the same tour that I took my senior year.
That's awesome. So what do the tours look like for you? How are they different from the general campus tours?
Yeah, so we go into kind of each of the different 13 undergraduate majors in the College of Engineering. So those are BMed, general, manufacturing, industrial, materials, aerospace, mechanical, environmental, civil, computer science, electrical, software, and computer engineering. We go over all of those, and we get to go into a lot of the labs that we have on campus. So we get to see the Empower Lab, which is the kind of BMed specific club that we have on campus for prosthetics. We get to go into a bunch of the industrial or IME labs. So the casting lab, the welding lab, and then we get to go see our clean room on campus for our materials engineers. We see the wind tunnel for our aerospace engineers. We really get to see everything on campus. We go into some computer labs. It's just a lot more lab spaces where the general campus tour is kind of like an overview of everything.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't get to go into any of the engineering labs or explore really the engineering buildings at all on our tours. So I think it's so cool that if anyone's interested in engineering, they definitely should take an engineering specific tour.
Yeah, definitely. It's so far from everything else on campus, unfortunately, yeah. But it's definitely worth it.
So what made you choose engineering at Cal Poly in general?
Senior, yeah. Honestly, with BMed, I got really lucky. My senior year, I kind of was like, okay, like I like math, and I might want to go to med school. And I kind of did some Google searching and found out that BMed might be right for me. Applied to a bunch of engineering disciplines at different schools. And when I came to open house at Cal Poly, I was invited to a SWE event. It's called SWE Welcome, and they bring in all of the female freshman engineering admits, and they partner them up with a current student, and you get to kind of follow them around all day. And so I was partnered up with a fourth year aerospace major, and I went to like 3 of her classes, and one of her classes was like three people and the professor. And I was like, what? Where am I? Wow. And her next class was like 80 students, and we got to go to some of her labs, and it was just a really cool day. And then I got to spend the night on campus in the dorms with another current student who was software engineering. And it was just really cool to kind of see the campus. And I instantly felt welcomed and accepted. And I think a really cool thing about Cal Poly is that once you get here, you're not competing anymore. Mm-hmm. And that was a very unique experience to other campuses where you get there and you're like, all right, like I'm going to be better than all of these people, and I'm going to work really hard and get better grades than all of them and do whatever it takes. But at Cal Poly, it's much more, what can I do to help everyone around me succeed and make sure that we're all doing well, because you're not competing anymore. You're already in your major, you're already in your discipline. You're not competing against your fellow students. It's just about like making sure that everyone learns as much as they can.
Yeah, I agree. I think even outside of engineering, across pretty much every discipline, I would say that's the same thing. Obviously, everyone works really hard and is super involved, but there isn't that element of like the cutthroat, I'm going to do better than you aspect of things.
Yeah, definitely. I always describe it as like collaborative rather than like competitive.
Yeah. So other than the Society of Women Engineers, what are you involved in through engineering?
Yeah, so within SWE, there's a really cool program called Team Tech that I was involved in my freshman year. You get to do year-long industry-sponsored project-based. And to have that kind of project experience as a freshman is really, really cool. I learned a lot really quickly. And I also learned that I really knew nothing at all about engineering, which helped a lot because I was like, okay, this is what engineering looks like. I'm in the right place. So that was really cool. And then besides for SWE and Team Tech, I'm involved in club tennis. I'm the vice president of our club tennis team, which has been a really wonderful experience. I can't recommend club sports enough. I have met many of my closest friends through club sports.
Yeah, I think it's always good to get involved in maybe 1 or 2 things through academics or through your major, and then also like a fun, social or athletic thing as well. I always recommend, getting involved in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So it looks like we have a couple of questions. So knew we were going to get these questions as it is. Then for admissions, when do the letters come out? So when will you all be hearing about your admissions decisions for this fall for Cal Poly? So you're guaranteed to hear by April 1st. So that is the guaranteed date that you will hear your decision by. But they are hoping to roll out those admissions sooner. So I have heard a rumor that it's going to be around, mid-March, but I can't make any promises as I'm not an admittance officer. But I just recommend to continue to check your portal, keep checking your email, even your junk email, school email, all of those things, keep checking. We have a Instagram live next week about what to do once you're admitted. So that's going to be really helpful, and that's going to be with an admissions officer. So if you have any questions for them, you can definitely join that. And then you'll make your decision by May 1st. So they'll give you at least that whole month of April to decide, hopefully sooner. And then don't worry if you don't hear at the same time as your peers. They don't necessarily do it in a specific linear way. So it'll come out across a few days or weeks even. So that answers that question. Someone asked, what is Team Tech about and how do you get in?
Yeah, so what's really cool about a lot of the clubs that we have on campus is that you don't have to apply or anything. There are some like that. Usually those are like industry sponsored clubs where you have to have like a little bit more accountability and responsibility. But for SWE and for Team Tech, you just start showing up to the club meetings and getting involved. It could not be any easier. So even as a first year, I had been connected with SWE because I went to that first event my senior year. But once I got here, I just started going to the general meetings, and they have a bunch of different subsections of SWE that you can be a part of. They have a lot of networking events, which are really cool. Outreach is a really cool committee. And Team Tech was just what stood out to me the most. So I started going to their meetings, and they do a different year-long project every year. So it looks a little bit different every year, but for me, I just got assigned like a smaller group within a group of about like 25 female engineers, and that was pretty much it.
That's awesome. Sounds great. Do you want to share a specific engineering learn by doing story?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So or in case anyone that's watching doesn't know what Learn by Doing is Cal Poly's philosophy. So we, instead of just, reading, watching lectures, looking at pictures, they really want to encourage all of our students to do the things that they're learning about. And this is especially applicable in the College of Engineering.
Yeah, I would say my kind of favorite example, this is like much more small scale than you might be asking for, but I think it's super cool. We were all online last year, like 80-90% of all of our classes were online. And I lived on campus last year with one electrical engineer and one computer engineer. And so all of our labs were online, which is really weird, especially because a lot of our majors are really, really hands-on and lab-based. But one of them was the one I like shared a wall with, so we could hear pretty much everything that was going on in the other person's room. But one night I heard like piano music coming from his room. I was like, what is going on? Like it was kind of late, and so I went over into his room, and he had built this little keyboard basically out of sensors that the department had sent him and aluminum foil, and he was just like playing this like little tiny piano like this big on his desk that he built all by himself. And I thought that was really cool because not only were we fully virtual, but you were getting that hands-on experience still while we were in the virtual setting, and the department was doing a really good job of reaching out to students to make sure that they could get those hands-on experiences. And he also had a similar project a few weeks later where a club he was a part of sent him 2 Bluetooth speakers, and he had to come up with the code to connect the Bluetooth speakers and play music from them. So even online, we were still having Learn by Doing going on, which was one of the coolest moments I think that I've had during COVID times and during online times.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm glad, obviously, that we're back in person, but still so nice that they really still cared about you getting that learn by doing experience. I know that I personally never thought that I would have experience within the College of Engineering, but my freshman year I took a class called Small Group Communication, and basically it was half engineers and half communication studies students. So it was kind of based on the idea that, us comm students aren't always the best at innovation and design thinking, and then engineering students sometimes aren't the best communicators or writers. So they paired us all together, and we had to kind of locate a problem on campus and then work together in groups to try and brainstorm how to solve that problem. So our group focused on sustainability, and we went and sat outside the busy Starbucks on campus and tallied every time someone used a plastic versus a reusable cup. And then we focused on sustainability solutions, and it was honestly just really cool to be in an engineering building, to work with other engineers, and just to kind of know that Cal Poly really cares about you becoming well-rounded and getting that holistic education. So I definitely really enjoyed that class.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I feel like we hear, especially working in the Welcome Center, we just hear so many learn by doing examples in every single college. And it's easy to forget that it's not only in engineering.
Right. Someone asked, what did he play when he got the speakers?
He played Taylor Swift's new album.
Classic. Can't go wrong. Are there any minor opportunities within the College of Engineering?
Yeah, there are actually 3 minors in the College of Engineering. They're all kind of computer science focused. There's like a gaming concentration, all kind of surrounded in CS, but they're pretty similar. It's a little bit weird because you can't always, it's a little bit difficult to pick up a minor in the College of Engineering, but it's a great option if you aren't in the college. You can still pick up a minor within engineering.
And how long or how common would you say it is for people to take 5 years to finish engineering degrees?
I would say it's pretty common, especially with our 4+1 program or our blended program. You can get your master's degree in 5 years. A couple programs are 6 years long, but most of them are 5. So I think some students will technically like take 1 more quarter to finish their undergrad, but while they're also doing that, they'll start taking graduate level classes. So kind of get both done at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool opportunity, and definitely something for people to look into if they're interested in pursuing a master's. What was a defining moment for you during your college experience or your time in engineering? Was there kind of a class or something you took that made you realize what direction you maybe want to go in your career?
Yeah, I think actually this happened pretty recently, but one of my professors, so I'll just plug Cal Poly a little bit more, but like 99% of our classes are taught by professors. So that leads to a lot of like really cool opportunities to connect with them. But I just happened to have a lab section that wasn't taught by the actual professor. And he, that wasn't his own, had to meet with him. And so...
Sorry, you froze for a second for me.
Okay. Am I back?
You're good.
Okay. Yeah, so he made it an assignment that each student that wasn't in his lab section had to meet with him one-on-one and get to know him better, basically. But so we went to this meeting, and he just kind of asked what I wanted to do and what I enjoyed. And I kind of talked through that I thought I wanted to get a job right after college. And he happened to be the grad school advisor a few years ago. And I was just talking to him, and I really did not realize that we had a grad program just for BMed that was separate from our regenerative medicine, which is our like tissue engineering master's program. And so just through like this one conversation that this professor like put in that extra effort to meet with me one-on-one, I'm now considering going to grad school.
That's awesome. Yeah. You would continue at Cal Poly?
Yeah, I think so.
That's so cool. What is your favorite thing about the College of Engineering, or kind of, you want to touch on Empower? I feel like that's such a cool kind of aspect of BMed specifically.
Yeah, definitely. So Empower is a student-run club that we have on campus that focus on kind of community-based projects. So different community members will come in with specific prosthetic needs, and Empower will kind of customize whatever prosthetic they need. Some of the coolest projects that I think that they've had was a couple years ago, they did like a gaming controller and system for patients with limited arm mobility. So that is a really cool interdisciplinary project. So even though it is a BMed specific club, that is mechanical engineers, it's electrical engineers, like CPE, CS, all in one setting, which is amazing. Interdisciplinary studies, I think, are really focused on, especially through clubs, and Power especially does a good job with that. And then another one they did was a few years ago. They built a new arm for a young boy named Luke who had unfortunately lost his arm, and they built like a little Lego overlay on top of it so that he could add Legos on top. Just an amazing thing for a 10-year-old to have on his arm.
Yeah, story. It's such a cool organization. Someone asked, can you do the 5-year degree in 4 years for any major?
Okay, so the 5-year degree is for your master's. So 4 years for undergrad. If you can finish that in 3, you can apply to grad school whenever. I think it's like a certain percentage to be eligible to apply to grad school. But as soon as you are, if you're just grinding like 20 units a quarter, you can totally do it early. It's just based on kind of unit load and what you want to do. They structure it so that you take 16 units a quarter, and that puts you on track to graduate your undergrad in 4 and your master's in 1 more year, so 5 years.
Yeah, I would definitely say it would be a push.
Yes.
You don't want to push yourself too much and overload your schedule, but if you want to, and that makes the most sense, and you want to pick up classes over summer, then it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Kind of wrapping up, do you have any advice for prospective students considering the College of Engineering or considering Cal Poly in general?
Yeah, I would say keep an open mind when you're applying. If you're really not sure what major you should apply to, but you know you're interested in engineering, definitely apply to mechanical engineering. It's by far the most broad and there's the most concentrations. And those kind of foundation classes are the same pretty much throughout a lot of the engineering majors, but mechanical, I would say, is like the most applicable to the most other majors if you do end up switching. So I would just recommend that if you're a little bit on the fence about what major you want to pick, definitely choose mechanical engineering. And I would also say my piece of advice would be once you get to campus, go to as many club meetings as you can and just kind of figure out what works for you. I went to like 15 different club meetings within like my first like month of college, and I am only a part of 3 of those clubs now. But it's really cool just to kind of see what's out there, help you figure out what you're interested in. If you know you don't like your major, clubs are a great way to kind of figure out what you are interested in, and lead to a lot of cool like networking opportunities, internship opportunities, and that all happens through clubs.
Yeah, I completely agree and second that advice. We have a couple questions that came up. This person asked, how did the quarter system or Cal Poly? I'm assuming they mean how does the quarter system work?
Yeah.
Kind of review that. Basically, the Cal Poly is currently on the quarter system, which means you can take 3 to 4 sets of classes a year. So generally, people take classes during fall, winter, and spring, and you have 10 weeks of teaching and then 1 week of finals, and so it's definitely pretty fast paced. You're not having just 2 separate semesters, so it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I personally have really enjoyed it in the sense that if you have a quarter and you're not vibing with the professor or class content, then you have 10 weeks until you're moving on to a new set of classes. And then on the other hand, if you really are interested in a specific subject or have made a connection with a professor, you have more opportunities to make those connections and take classes within those core subjects. So that's kind of how the quarter system works, and hopefully that answered that question. What days specifically are freshman engineering decisions coming out? So I don't know the answer to that question. In fact, I don't even think admissions knows the answer. But one recommendation that I do have is to join or have your parents or supporters join the Cal Poly parents page. They often post when their children hear back on decisions specifically for different majors or areas. So I would definitely check in on that. And then you'll get a better understanding of when those decisions start to come out. But like I said, sometime this month, most likely, but at least by April. How did the quarter system or Cal Poly experience affect the internships you applied to? So I would say one cool thing about Cal Poly is that we have a blended or upside down curriculum, which means that you start taking major classes straight away. And that's actually really beneficial to internships because, some schools you've only had, you take general education classes for your first 2 years and then you get into your major classes. But at Cal Poly, you're doing those day one. So that means that by the end of your sophomore year or whenever you're ready to start applying for internships, you've already had years of experience under the belt. In terms of internships, it is difficult in the sense that you do start later and finish later. So we start late to mid-September and then we finish around mid-June. So you would just have to work with your organization or employee and let them know that you would have to start late but could also finish your internship late as well. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Anna.
Yeah, I would say I haven't really had any issues. Most companies that I've talked to or my internship hopefully coming up this summer is very flexible with your schedule. You just kind of say this is when you end school and this is when you start school, and they understand that that's kind of a hard deadline.
Yeah, there's nothing we can really do about it. So how difficult is it transition to a major but is outside the engineering curriculum, like economics? I'm assuming they're asking how difficult is it to transfer from engineering to a different college?
I would say it's key to switching into the College of Engineering. It's a little bit easier because you likely applied to a major that is pretty hard to get into and pretty competitive. Usually it's more of a problem switching majors into a more difficult major than you applied to. Just don't try to game the system, basically, is what they're saying. But I haven't heard of any issues switching out of the College of Engineering.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. It is easier to switch within the college you have your major in, but it is possible to switch out of or into. So if we don't have any more questions, I'll kind of wrap up and kind of reiterate your advice of just, doing some research about all of the majors. Definitely make use of the course catalog. So each major has a list of the classes you would potentially be taking. And so that can really help you read the descriptions of those classes and determine whether those specific majors seem interesting to you. Talk to some people if you can that have had experience with engineering and kind of weigh your options and figure out what's best for you. And then either if you have applied, if you haven't, if you've been accepted or not, I highly recommend that you come visit Cal Poly. We both work in the Welcome Center and would love to see your faces. And that maybe you would get a engineering specific tour from Anna. And being on campus and seeing labs and hearing from other students will definitely give you a better idea about whether Cal Poly is the right fit for you. Any last words?
I think there was one question. How has housing been? I don't know.
Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much back to normal. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but I stayed on campus for 2 years. I lived in Yaki Chuchu my freshman year, and then I lived in PCB, which is one of the continuing student apartment complexes that we have on campus. And I really liked staying on campus. The rooms are fully furnished. And being an out-of-state student, it's a little bit hard to get furniture and move your stuff around. So having the fully furnished apartment was really nice. nice. I had my own room my second year, like no issues at all.
Yeah, so all of the freshmen are living on campus right now, and then certain communities like the College of Engineering, Agriculture, Architecture, Cal Poly scholars, and then D1 athletes all live on campus for 2 or more years. And then other than that, it's up to you whether you want to continue living on campus or if you want to move off campus. I really enjoyed my dorm experience. Both of us are still like best friends with the people that we were in the dorms with. So I had a great experience with that, and yeah, definitely check out. I was just gonna tell everyone to go and check out the Cal Poly Admissions YouTube page. They have videos from pretty much every major at Cal Poly, and then they also have tours of all of the dorms and the apartments on campus. So if you want to watch that interactive element, then that's a great idea. And then we also have all of these Instagram lives posted on there, as well as on our Instagram TV section of this account. So if you didn't catch anything, you want to refer back to anything that we talked about during this live session, you can definitely refer back to this account. And I thank you so much for being here, Anna. It's been so much fun talking with you and hearing about all of your experiences.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was great. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Hey there, my name's Rafael. I'm a 4th-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comments section. Click here to subscribe, and to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a campus visit, we're offering in-person and virtual options, so check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.